Hello, welcome back to Polyfile. This is Jeff. Today I'm going to be talking about something which was actually a request that I got, so it's all going to be about polydating mono. So first of all, what do I mean by polydating mono? Well, there's two different ways of looking at this. There's the one way, which is you're a polyamorous person trying to live within the confines of a monogamous structure imposed by somebody else as a way of kind of working with them. And the other way is going to be when a monogamous person is trying to be involved with you, while you're still able to actually have other interactions with other people as you normally would. So specifically, I'm going to be talking about the one where the monogamous person is trying to kind of live within this polyamorous world as a monogamous individual themselves. So one of the first things that a lot of people think when they hear about this is, okay, that can't possibly work. There's no compromising space between these two worlds. And that's true. There is no compromising space. It's kind of either one or the other. You either the relationship either forces you to be monogamous or it doesn't. There's not sort of halfway it does. No. So basically this is something where, yeah, it's going to be difficult because there is no obvious middle ground. This is the canyon. You can't jump halfway. So what we're going to be talking about is not necessarily ways to try and go about making this work, more just ways of thinking about some of the problems that you're likely going to encounter when going into a situation like this. And of course, realize that because there's not really very many people who identify as being polyamorous, this does happen a lot. It's not some completely ridiculous concept that never would actually possibly work. Sometimes it does work, and there's a bunch of different ways that it could. So we're going to go through some of that. Now, there's sort of two things to get out of the way really just up front, because they could be big problems if you don't address them quite directly. And that's going to be, is one of you trying to convert the other one? This is a big question, and you need to be honest with yourself and with the other person, because you can't expect that you can do this. You can't do this. They may choose to, once they see something about what interacting with you is like, or something like that, they might change their mind, but realistically, you can't expect people to change because you want to force them to grow up into whatever you think is right. You do have a disagreement here. It may go away, or it may just turn out that it's more manageable than you thought. So there's a bunch of different ways to look at this. First of all, why would this happen? Why would a monogamous person choose to be with a polyamorous person? And why would they think that's okay? There's this unfairness about the universe now. Now look, let me be clear here. We're not talking about a situation where you're telling them, you can't have other partners, but I can. That's a very different problem. This is a situation where you're saying, we can both have other partners. And they say, okay, that's fine, I just don't want to. So they're very, very poly-friendly in that sort of way. Or at least they're trying to be. So why would they end up doing that then? Well, there's lots of reasons. Remember, relationships take a lot of time, a lot of investment. Maybe they just don't want to. It's perfectly reasonable for them to say, yeah, you can have all the freedom you normally expect to have in a relationship. Maintain the normal kind of honest communication, keep me in the loop about things. Don't sideline me about anything that's going on in your life. But really, I only want to be with you because maybe I'm busy with work, maybe I'm busy with school, maybe I have kids I need to take care of, I just don't have time. No one interests me. Or maybe I would feel wrong about it if I were to do it. I'd be too anxious or worried about something or feeling some sort of internalized guilt, which they may feel directly or just because of some sort of conditioning. These things happen. And a lot of people who have kind of come to terms with that and said, this is who I am, but I don't really care what other people do as long as they're just fair to me. Then you actually can have a relationship like this that will work. But it does require that they've kind of reached that point of realizing, I'm not going to change that person, they're not going to change me, but I don't need to change them. This, of course, really comes down to the issue of what exactly is monogamy? What is the monogamous identity? Is it about what you want or what you want other people to want? This is an important distinction to make. Generally speaking, there's sort of the expectation within the culture that monogamous people, it's not so much about what they want, it's about what they want you to want. So that's a very kind of imposing way of looking at it. But a lot of people don't look at it that way. A lot of them actually just say, no, I just only want to be with one person. I don't have any interest in doing anything beyond that. I either don't want to or I wouldn't feel right about it. But I don't care what other people do. They're perfectly free to enjoy their lives as they will. So one of the things that you're going to run into in this, and it's going to be very difficult, is a lot of times people will say that they're going to do this. They say that they're monogamous, but they'll be fine, or they'll try the poly thing, and that's not actually what they're trying to do. A lot of times they're trying to change you. They're thinking that they can decide how you feel, how you will act. And all that you need is their help in seeing the light of growing up into this kind of monogamous mainstream expectation. They're not looking at you as a person who has agency. They're not looking at you as a person who actually knows what you're doing or what you want. These situations will not end well. If, however, they are honest with themselves and with you, and they're perfectly happy with this arrangement, then yeah, this can work. Just make sure that you interact with them honestly like you would any other relationship you have. You don't hide things from them. You don't try and shield them from things that you think would scare them or upset them. You can never do that in any kind of relationship anyway. Just realize that, no, they're making an honest decision on their part, and it makes sense to them. It'll be fine. You need to be able to speak to them directly and be honest with them about what's going on in your life, the same way you would any other relationship. Just because they identify as monogamous doesn't mean they need to be handled with kid gloves. They made the decision. They're being honest with you. You need to be honest with them. So, sorry, there's no magic silver bullet for how to make this work. There's just the things that you have to remember. They are who they are. You are who you are. Neither of you is going to change the other or be changed by the other. You need to just be honest with yourself about who you are and what you think they are, and be honest with them about who you are and how you interact with your surroundings. Then, maybe it'll work. Remember, often it doesn't work, but that's usually because someone's not being honest with each other or themselves about what they're actually wanting. If you're both honestly entering this situation, being honest with yourselves and each other about what you want, how you feel, and how you identify, then hey, it might work. I've seen it happen. Anyway, thanks for watching, and leave any comments if you have any suggestions or questions related to this. Thanks. Bye.